Peace, love and life fam. How y'all doing? Happy Friday. Happy Venus Day. I hope that you all are feeling amazing, in good spirits. You are having a great start to your weekend. It's Friday. It's the 4th of July. I know some people don't celebrate the 4th of July like me. I don't celebrate it, but that's all right though. Just because you don't celebrate it does not mean you cannot do something festive and something that makes you happy, something that makes you feel good. If you celebrate it, happy 4th of July. I hope that you guys have an amazing day and that your weekend is great. If you're grilling, don't forget to send your girl an invite. Tell me when I pull up, I'll pull up. I ain't gonna come empty handed. You know what I'm saying? I'll bring a bottle or something. I'll bring some sides. I'll bring some desserts. But if you grilling, let me know what you putting on that grill so I can come and get me a plate, okay? But any which ways, this video is going to be covering Nelly and Ashanti's synastry. And I channeled some messages right here, as you can see. Now, I'm going to briefly cover some of the energy from their planets and from their synastry. I'm not going to do a whole lot because it can get really deep, and I don't want to get that deep because then that's going to turn into a 30-45 minute video. I don't have enough followers to do a long ass video like that. If I'm lucky, I might get 10-15 views. I only got like 400 subscribers. I might get about 10-15 views. So I'm not about to sit up here and do a 30-45 minute video only for it to get a few views. So I'm going to do a brief analysis on their astrological chart, and then I'm going to do a brief channeling over here, and then when my subscribers increase, when I get a bigger audience and I get more views, then maybe you know I'll take the time to do longer videos if that's what the people want. But anyways, for the 5-10 people for the 5-10 people that took the time to stop by and check out my channel, check out this video, see what I got going on, thank you. Much gratitude. I appreciate you. If you love the vibe, consider subscribing. Make sure you hit the like button, and if you need a reading done, or if you need your chart analyzed, my website is www.indyglowlove.com. LUV, not LOV. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with Nelly's chart first. When I looked at Nelly's chart, now okay, before I'm just jumping right on in the water and not put my baby toe in the check to see how cold it is. Y'all know I ain't even got to get into what's going on with them too. If you clicked on this video, chances are you already know what's going on with the two of them. They got married, she had that baby. And me personally, I always said it, but I couldn't say it publicly because then you come off as being a hater and being jealous and this, that, and the third. I always said that she should not have took that man back and had that baby with him. I knew he was gonna trap her. I knew that he was gonna use that marriage and that baby to try to trap her. That is what I said. That's what I felt. But here we are having this conversation. I felt like she was better off without him. I honestly felt like she was better off being single. That's just my opinion. Now, if she would have gotten married, I feel like it should have been to somebody else, not him. She let that man spin a block. I personally felt like she should not have let that man spin a block. It didn't work out the first time. What makes you think it was going to work out the second time? But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. Y'all know what's going on with them. They've been on social media, blogs. They got that reality show. He didn't say some stuff, and they got all, y'all know what's going on. I'm not gonna get too deep into what's going on, but if you don't know what's going on, then go down your own rabbit hole and find out what's going on between the two of them. But yeah, I really always felt like she should have never got back with him. That's what I feel. I feel like, he dims her light. I looked at their chart, I looked at their synastry chart, and it's indicated in the synastry that he dims her light. And she's just, I'm not here to tell a woman what to do. I'm not here to tell a woman that she should leave her husband, stay, whatever. But he dims her light and he does nothing for her. But any which ways, let's get into Nelly's chart first. The first thing I did was I looked at his Mars. He has he has Libra Mars at the third degree. That's the Gemini degree. Um he's definitely for the streets. Just looking at his Mars alone tells me that he's for the streets. Then his Mars square his Saturn Cancer. His Saturn Cancer sits at 18 degrees, the Virgo degree. Now, what this aspect tells me is he has a very specific type of woman that he likes, that he's attracted to. He's definitely attracted to beautiful women, but he also can have like um a domineering and controlling way about how he treats the women that he's with. He loves women that can be submissive to him and that can be very passive and submissive to him. Like he has the need to be dominating and controlling when it comes to women and being in relationships to women. Um he loves women that can bow down to him, if that makes sense. He has his Venus Scorpio at the eighth degree next to his Scorpio sun, and that's at the ninth degree. The ninth degree is the Scorpio degree. So again, this goes back to him being very controlling and possessive in relationships because Venus rules women in a man's chart, and the man, the sun rules our ego. So yeah, he's definitely somebody that has a very big ego, and when he gets in relationships, he tends to love to control women, control the women that he's in a relationship with, which is why I really, again, feel like Ashanti should have never got back with him. But I'm gonna get into her chart in just a minute. Now, yeah, he loves to have submissive women that he can have power and control over. His Scorpio sun at the ninth degree, that's the Sag degree. So he needs to feel, now when he's in a relationship, he needs to feel as though he has some sort of freedom and independence in relationships or in life in general, because with that sun, his Scorpio sun sitting at that Sagittarius degree, he needs to he might not be meant for marriage. Okay, I don't know. And that's not to say he can't be. I take that back. Well, it just kind of depends, because if I also feel like he's not set up for monogamy. I'm gonna get into that also, but I do not feel like he is set up for monogamy. I feel like he's set up for poly. Now, he can choose to be single and have situationships throughout his life, or if he does settle down and get married, it has to be with somebody that's poly like him and that is okay with who he is and the type of lifestyle that he wants, because he really, really needs to feel a sense of freedom and independence when he's in a relationship. Now, that Scorpio sun and Venus trines his Jupiter in Pisces. I feel like that's his blessed and abundant placement. That's that's probably why he's made a career out of being a rap artist, and producer, whatever, whatever. Mars next to his Libra Uranus, that is at the 28th degree. That is the Cancer degree. Now let me tell you something about that Mars being next to his Libra Uranus at the 28th degree. This might give him some feminine ways or some feminine tendencies. It also can give him it also can make him be the type of man that has a really strange and unusual sexual lifestyle. So he can be somebody that can be um, experimental sexually. I'm gonna just leave it there. I ain't gonna put too much out there, but it's a blanket of things. But he can be very open sexually. He can be very experimental sexually. He can be, when it comes to his man part, y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say his man part. I can't say the word, but when it comes to his man part, it might be something different or unusual about his man part. It could be the way the size of it. He can have a curve, he can have a hook, it can have, like a skinny shaft with a thick tip. It can have a birthmark next to it. It can have freckles on it. It can be, it could be lighter than hit the rest of his body or darker than the rest of his body. It is definitely something strange and unusual about his man part. So I noticed that when I looked at his planets too. Now his Scorpio sun, Venus squares. I'm sorry, I am going ahead of myself. I Let me look at my notes and make sure. Okay, his moon, let me talk about his moon in Gemini. His moon in Gemini opposes his Neptune and his North Node in Sagittarius. The moon is the indicator of his mother, but is also the wife in his chart as well. So with the moon being in Gemini, is at the 6th degree of Virgo. Again, there goes that Virgo energy coming through with the type of woman that he likes. He loves women that are aesthetically beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. He has a particular type of woman that he likes and that he's attracted to. But he also loves passive and submissive women. Okay. Also with his north, okay, so this would put his, no, I'm sorry, his south node. His south node would be next to his moon. So that means that his south node would be in Gemini. His north node would be in Sag. With his Neptune in north node, his Neptune and his north node conjunct in Sagittarius. He needs to go towards his North Node and away from his South Node in Gemini. That Gemini energy, that moon next to his South Node, he subconsciously stays stuck in the same cycles, in the same karmic cycles, because the South Node is about what we're comfortable with, what we're bringing in from a past life, and what we need to move away from. And and I feel like he has an obligation or loyalty to, his hometown, his community, his siblings, and groups of people, small groups of people, like a small group of people, which could be, that persona that he puts off, that street persona, that personality that he puts off, that he needs to move away from that and go towards the North Node, which is his spiritual mission, his spiritual purpose of, expanding his horizons, going out and exploring different cultures and exploring different belief systems, going towards being more of a teacher and a mentor. That's what he needs to go towards in this lifetime. He needs to go towards being a some type of spiritual leader, some type of spiritual mentor or teacher. And that doesn't mean he have to stop doing music, but his soul needs to go mainly towards that. So any which ways, with that moon sitting at the Virgo degree, that Gemini moon sitting at the Virgo degree, that's a lot of Mercurian energy. He has a lot of restless energy. A lot of restless energy. So he's somebody that gets bored easily, which explains why he probably signed up to go on that. Didn't he sign up to go on some type of tour for a year? He does not like to sit still for a long time. He needs to always feel like he's doing something. But anyway, let me move on to Ashanti's planets. Now Ashanti, she has her North Node in Leo at the 17th degree Leo, and it's at the Leo degree, and her South Node in Aquarius. So in a past life, she probably focused more on the collective and groups of people, society, humanitarianism, and sacrificed her own needs for the needs of others. So in this life, she needs to move away from that and go more towards her own individual creative talents and being a leader and being direct in her own sense of self, her own identity, her creativity, her inner child, her individualism. She needs to go towards that and owning that, going more towards the ego and putting her needs and herself first. That's what she needs to go towards in this lifetime. Now, let me pull up her chart real quick, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull up, let me go to her chart. Now, she has a Venus in Virgo. Let me stop right there. Venus in Virgo. I can talk about this placement all day because I have this placement, but I'm not. I'm just going to briefly talk about it. She has that Venus in Virgo, and anybody knows anything about Venus in Virgo, you know what I mean by that. And her Venus in Virgo is squaring her Mars and Moon in Sagittarius. That is a very, very hard placement to have. I know because I have it. Now, although my Venus squares my Mars and my Neptune, her Venus squares her Mars and her Moon, aspected differently, but it's still a hard aspect. Now, Venus in Virgo is debilitated. What does that mean when Venus in Virgo is debilitated? Venus in Virgo being debilitated means that your Venus does not do well in that sign. Your Venus is your money, and your Venus is your self-worth. It's how you love. Now, so that's where she gets jacked up. With her Venus squaring her Mars is at 0 degrees, so it's at the purest form. Her Moon is in Sag, is at the 12th degree, which is the Pisces degree. Okay, so this is where the problem come in at. When she gets into relationships, the sunglasses come on. It's like she goes into relationships with rose colored glasses. She idealizes and fantasizes relationships. When she gets into relationships, she cannot see these men for who they truly are. She cannot see these men and their true intentions. So this type of woman would and see, this is how she fell for Nelly, because Nelly was somebody that was from her past, and because she knew him, she already had history with him. She didn't take the time to really get to know him and properly vet him to see if they really was compatible, because there are some things in their synastry that does make them compatible, but they do have some issues. Now, granted, all relationships have challenges, all relationships have issues. It's all on how we choose to work through them. Okay, but with her having this Venus squaring her Mars and her Moon, this is somebody that can be hyper independent. This makes a woman very hyper independent, but it also can cause a woman to attract very controlling and dominating men. It also can cause a woman to feel very insecure. Her self-worth, she's not very clear on her self-worth. She idealizes and fantasizes relationships. She goes into relationships with rose colored glasses on, so it's hard for her to see a man's true intentions going into the relationship. So I feel like she should have really took her time in dating him and really got to know him to really see if they will really be good together married, because based on their synastry, their Mars and their Venus is sextile. So that's a harmonious aspect with the Venus and the Mars sextile each other. They have a lot of passion for each other. They have amazing smecks. The physical chemistry and connection is there. They're able to support each other in that way, which is, you see her telling him what to eat and how to, I think there's something where she was telling him he need to eat this, you need to eat that. So she sees a need physically where, you know, he needs to take better care of himself. And he'll complain and grump about it, but he'll do it because they have that energy there is very harmonious for them. That Venus and Mars aspect is very harmonious, but the problem for her comes in is that when she gets into a relationship, she just becomes blinded. She can't really see the men for who they really and truly are. And again, this could attract men that could be very controlling and very dominating over her. They can tend to overshadow her and her sense of self and her self-worth because she's not fully aware of her own self-worth, if that makes sense. All right, and then looking at her Libra sun is at 19 degrees, so it's at the 19th degree. She is definitely a true Libra. It is next to her Pluto in Libra, and net is at the 21st degree, which is the Sag degree. So she is someone who has a very transformative spirit. She energy about herself. She's very marketable, which is why they was able to, when she first came out, she didn't have the best vocals, but she was very marketable, if that makes sense. She has now Libra sun in Libra is debilitated. Sun in Libra is debilitated. That means that the energy doesn't do well in that sign. But her sun gets the help of Neptune because it trines her Neptune. Now she has that Libra sun next to her Pluto gives her that very sensual and sexy persona that she portrays. Like, she oozes sensuality and sexuality. But with the sun being debilitated in Libra, she can have like, she can low key be, along with that debilitated Venus, she can low key have self-worth issues and be secretly insecure. And she's also going through her Uranus return. And you know what I get with this? I feel like she felt like she had to hurry up and get married and have a baby because she felt like her biological time clock was ticking. And when you're somebody that has displacement with the debilitated Venus, and it has these hard aspects, because when I'm looking at a debilitated Venus in harsh aspect to Mars and Moon, I have to look at the lower octave of this. Now, if you have not worked through this energy, or if you're not consciously aware of this energy, you can have a scarcity mindset. You can walk around and subconsciously have a scarcity mindset. And I feel like the reason why she settled, and yes, she settled for Nelly, and the reason why I feel like she settled for Nelly is because she felt like her biological time clock was ticking. She really wanted to be a mother. She really wanted to have a family. And when he came around and she allowed him to come back and spin a block, instead of her really knowing her worth and knowing her value, she settled because she just felt like there was a sense of desperation and need to hurry up and get married and have a baby before her biological time clock ran out. This is why it's important when you're a woman. I don't give a fuck how old you are. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50. You can never be so desperate in that energy and in that scarcity mindset that you have to settle. And this is what she did in this case. She settled because Ashanti is doing shit that us women, because she's in her mid 40s, 43, 44. She's doing shit that she should have done in her 20s and her 30s. She's doing it in her 40s. She shouldn't have did that. She should have never let this man come back. She should have never let this man spin a block. She should have never let this man trap her with a baby. Now we don't know how this marriage is going to work out. Well, I do kind of know how it's going to work out. I'm going to go over that when I do this right here. But and this video already going over 25 minutes. It look, I'm talking shit about not wanting to have a 45-minute video, and it looked like I'm going to have a 45-minute video. Hopefully I'll get more than 10, 15 views. But any which ways, if it's one person watching this, baby, that one person that's watching this, thank you. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you. You are a real one. You're a real one. Yes. But any which ways, yeah, I just, women with this placement tend to have a scarcity mindset, and that's what happened with her. So even though she's successful, as far as her career, she's very successful in her career, but that Venus squared with that Mars and that Moon puts her, it it has her in a chokehold. It has her in a chokehold, and that's something that she has to work through. And I'm gonna go over that when I get into this right here. But that's something that she has to work through. Now, as far as their synastry is concerned, let me go to their natal. I'm sorry, not their natal, their synastry chart. Let me pull that up real quick, y'all. Bear with me for just a second. Um, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do natal, yep, natal chart, synastry chart, and then her and Nelly. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Boom. Show the chart. Okay, so I got the synastry chart pulled up right here. I mean, it ain't like y'all can see it, but you know what I mean. It's right here in front of me, not in front of y'all. But any which ways, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to that synastry, but I'm not gonna unpack it. Okay, I'm just gonna go over some of the red flags that I saw. I did briefly talk about some of the harmonious aspects that they have, especially when it comes to their Mars and their Venus. That is a harmonious aspect. I'm not gonna go too deep into that. That's an indicator of really really amazing smacks, lots of fun, passion in the bedroom, blah 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 blah. Her blessed in abundance placements, I feel, sits on his North Node. And his blessed and abundant placement sits on her sun and her Pluto. That's my analysis. I could be wrong. Now, this is the problem. This is one of the problems. First, problem number one, their moons are in opposition. His moon in Gemini opposes her Sag moon. So they're never going to be on the same page emotionally. When it comes to how she feels and how he feels, in the relationship, they're always going to be at odds with each other. They're always going to struggle. They're always going to have to figure out how to come to some type of middle ground and how to find a balance as far as meeting each other's emotional needs. Um, what else can I say about their sun as their moon aspects? Um, Now the thing about a woman in a woman's chart, I typically like to see a man's moon close to a woman's moon because a man has to be able to fulfill a woman's emotional needs. Okay? A man has to be able to fulfill a woman's emotional needs. I don't like to see it in a square, and I don't like to see it in an opposition because you have to work. That man has to work too hard to be able to show up for her in the way that she needs him to when it comes to fulfilling her emotional needs. His Jupiter squares her moon, Mars, Uranus, and it opposes her Venus. Now, with that aspect right there, his Jupiter squaring her Mars, her Moon, her Uranus, and her Venus, his Saturn squares her Mercury. Saturn squaring Mercury, a lot of people overlook this aspect in synastry, but his Saturn squaring her Mercury, Saturn can make the Mercury person feel this small. This small. I don't know if y'all can see that. Ow, this small. Let me fix the camera back. Let's fix it back. There we go. It makes it feel that small. That small. Look, that small. That's how big the the um the Saturn person can make the Mercury person feel. As far as his Jupiter squaring her moon, Mars, Uranus, and opposes her Venus, he literally dims her light. This is where the domineering aspect coming in. He it's almost as if she has to dim her light and give her power away and lose her sense of self and her individuality just to be with him. You guys remember before she got back with Nelly, before she got back with Nelly, I always have been a fan of Ashanti. I love Ashanti. I've always been a fan of her, and I remember before she got with him, she was on tour, just touring all over the world, traveling, vacation, and she would take these pictures. Her body was tea, baby. When I tell you, this woman's body was so fucking beautiful. I used to gag, literally gag every time this woman would post a picture of her body in them swimsuits when she was out of town on the beach on the island. Baby, when I tell you, she was eating everybody up. Everybody. This girl's body was it was unreal. It was unreal before she got with Nelly. Now, that's not to say she can't get back to that size. She can and she will. But being with him makes it harder for her to get back to herself, to be herself, to express herself in the way that she wants to and needs to, because she's tied down with responsibility of being a mother and a wife. And it also shows where the relationship is one-sided. The relationship is extremely one-sided. So that's what that aspect says to me. His Saturn squares her sun and Pluto. So what this means that he can put her in uncompromising positions and cause her to give her power away, which is, you know, there was a thing where he said something about, y'all remember when he said or she asked him, why don't you help me with the baby? I don't want to quote exactly what she said because I don't want to jack the shit up, but she said something about, you don't help me with the baby, or why you don't help me with the baby, or whatever, and he said he's not going to help her with that baby until the baby turns 3, whatever he said, whatever she said. Let me tell you something. Not only is he not going to help her with that baby when that baby turned 3, he's not going to help her with that baby when that baby turns 6. He's not going to help her when that baby turns 10. He's not going to help her with that baby when that baby turns 15. He's just not. He's not capable of supporting her in that way. It also came out where she wants to move and he doesn't want to move. It will be in her best interest to move. It will definitely be in her best interest to move because she needs the help and the support of her family and her friends. Because in his mind, the way he's set up, he feels like a husband is supposed to go out there, work, and provide. That's it. That is his definition of a husband. As far as providing physical and emotional support, he's not going to do that, and he said it, and it's in his chart. It's indicated in his chart. He's never going to give her the support that she needs in a way that she needs it. What she needs from him as a father, she's not going to get it. She's never going to get it. It doesn't matter how old that baby turns. He'll take care of her from a financial end, from a financial aspect, but as far as him being there and supporting her when it comes to, like, if that child gets sick, he not gonna help her when that baby gets sick. If something happens with that child, like as far as disciplining the child, he not gonna help her discipline that child. And again, I strongly feel like, and this is just my analysis and I could be wrong, I don't feel like he's set up for monogamy. I feel like he's set up for poly, and I feel like the only reason why he got back with her and he trapped her is because he's a narcissist and he needed a supply. He needed a supply. And I don't like to use the word narcissist because I know a lot of people throw that word around so much. They throw it around all the time. And there's different levels to narcissism, of course. But narcissists need a supply. That's what they need. He could have easily went and got somebody else. Nelly could get any woman he want. Well, within reason. Why, he things didn't work out with the ex. I think her name was Chantel. I think that was her name. She was the smart one. She the one that broke away. She was the smart one. I'm sure she's somewhere sitting back eating her popcorn and cackling because Ashanti got her problem. Ashanti took that problem off of her hand. He knew that relationship with that woman was going to come to an end, and he plotted on Ashanti and circled the block and spent the block. And what I'm getting intuitively is before that situation was over between him and that ex, him and Ashanti was secretly creeping around because this, when she got in her chart, I wouldn't put it past her. They probably secretly was hooking up behind the scenes without nobody knowing. And he probably told her that relationship is over, that relationship is done, which it probably was. But because the way he's set up, he needs a supply. He needs somebody that he know that Nelly knows that he's a piece of shit. He knows he ain't shit. He knows he's a piece of shit, and he knows that he needs a true divine. He needs the power of the divine feminine to help him, to give him that crutch, which is why he went and got somebody like Ashanti, somebody who is successful, who got their own shit. She had her shit together. This woman's body was just, she shut the fucking internet down every time she posted a picture of her body. Why is it that this girl ain't lost her baby weight by now? Not saying that you're supposed to lose your baby weight overnight. You have to consider, a lot of different factors, her age and this, that, and the third. But there's no reason why that woman should not have lost her baby weight by now. She got the money. She got the resources. If she lost it again, if she lost it before, she can lose it again. But any which ways, let me move on to this right here, you guys. And look, I'm talking shit about the video going over into 45 minutes, and here we're going into 46 minutes. But let me hurry up and finish. Now, when I looked at their tarot, when I pulled this up right here, this is the Two of Cups. But clarifying the Two of Cups is the Star in reverse. So I asked how she feel about him. She feel like this is her soulmate. She's in love. She feels like it's her soulmate. But I feel like this is reflecting their synastry in her natal chart, in that aspect that she has with her Venus being in a hard aspect to Mars and Moon. She's blinded by the illusion of having a family, of having, having that being a power couple, having that fantasy of having a family, a baby, a man and a husband. But that comes from a broken place. That comes from a wounded place. There's something from her childhood that she has not healed. So this relationship could be a trauma bond. There's definitely it could be a mother wound. It could be a father wound. I'm strongly getting there's a father wound here. So there's definitely like an abandonment wound that she has not healed. So yeah, she did settle with this man and for this situation because there is an abandonment wound here. So on the outside looking in, we're screaming at her, girl, why you with him? Why this? We all giving our opinions and shit and criticizing and that. But in her mind, maybe there's hope. Maybe this, I know that he ain't shit. He ain't making me happy, but I'm going to try to stick it out anyway. Look, let me tell y'all something. How many of us have been in Ashanti's shoes? Now, again, some of us made these mistakes when we was in our 20s and our 30s. Like me, I made some of these mistakes in my 20s and my 30s. I bet you can't get me to do this. You can't get me to make no mistake like this now. No way, no way. Nope, I learned my lesson. But unfortunately, she got to learn her lesson. But that's because she hasn't healed that childhood wound. Now, I asked how he feels about her. And the King of Wands is in reverse, which reflects his chart. Because he feels stuck and he feels trapped. And it makes sense why he signed up for to go on tour. I didn't say that right. That was not proper grammar or English, but it makes sense as to why he signed up to go on tour. Because why would you go on tour when you got a new wife and baby at home that needs you? Subconsciously, he needs to feel like he has a sense of freedom and independence, whether he's in a relationship, married, or whatever. And then he has all of that restless Gemini energy with his south node and his Gemini moon, which explains why he feels trapped, and he feels like he needs to break away from this situation with her, the responsibilities of being married and being a new father. He needs to break away from that, which is why he's going on tour. So that makes sense. He is also indicating that he's cheating on her, or he will cheat on her when he goes on tour. Now, this card here, the Father of Coins, clarifying this card, tells me that he will support her financially. He'll always support her financially. But he feels like, he has a huge ego. With this big ass ego, with the King of Wands in reverse, and this huge ass ego that he has, tells me that only thing I need to do is go out there and work and provide and pay the bills. That is his definition of a husband, to work and provide and pay the bills. Fuck all that other shit y'all talking about. So that's how he feels he needs to show up. Again, this card right here, this card clarifying this card, tells me that this man is not set up for monogamy. He is set up for poly. And a lot of times, a lot of men like this who set up for poly get with women that are set up for monogamy. He should have got with somebody that he didn't even need to be with nobody like Ashanti. Ashanti is too good for him. Ashanti got her own purpose and then another thing, their nodes are squaring each other. So this is telling me that eventually, if she don't leave him, because this card telling me right here, these two cards telling me that she will eventually get the kahunas to up and leave him. But even if she don't get the kahunas to up and leave him, they're going to eventually grow apart, because their values are misaligned. That's indicated in their synastry chart too. There is a misalignment of values. She values one thing when it comes to family, and he values another thing. Now she down there with him, living with him, with no support system. I mean, she could create her own support system if she want to, but she wants to be close to her own family. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see nothing wrong with her wanting to be surrounded by the people that she loves and she trusts. But he doesn't want to do that because he's stuck in his ways. Again, that goes back to that domineering and controlling factor that's indicated in her natal chart and their synastry chart. But yeah, moving on to this energy right here, she will get the kahunas to up and leave him. She will. She will get back to herself. That beautiful, beautiful goddess as bomb as Ashanti that we saw before she got with him and had that baby. You know what? She might have got knocked down, but she's gonna get back up. It was she was down for the count for a little minute, but she gonna bounce back. She gonna go through a dark night of the soul. She will go through a dark night of the soul. She's eventually going to see the situation for what it really and truly is. And she's going to eventually give up and lose hope and and figure out, you know what? This situation isn't all what it seems. She's going to really go into a dark place. She's really going to go into a dark place because she's going to start reflecting on how her life was before him. And then she's going to see how her life is now. And that's going to put her in a really, really bad space. And she's going to go through a really, really traumatizing dark night of the soul. He's going to betray her. He's going to betray her in a major way. Y'all watch what I tell y'all. Y'all just watch. He is going to betray her. And I'm going to tell you something. You know what's going to pull her through? The light at the end of the tunnel is going to be her child. Her child. Because she already feels alone and alienated where she is. That's how he makes her feel. He makes her feel alone. He makes her feel alienated. She doesn't show it, but her saving grace is going to be her child. It's going to be her baby. And her guides. Her spirit guide and her baby. She has a guide that walks with her. She has a powerful guide that walks with her. But our guides are only allowed to do so much. They're only influences us to do so much. At the end of the day, we have free will. But her baby and her guide is going to pull her through this dark energy. So it's going to come a time where we may not hear from her for a while. or it might be sporadically. That's because she's going through that dark night of the soul. But baby, when she come through that dark night of the soul, baby, listen. She gonna be better than she was when she before she got with him, because she gonna learn that lesson. She gotta heal this wound though. She gotta heal this abandonment wound right here, and stop being so delusional when she get into relationships. But baby, she's going to focus in on herself. She's definitely going to go towards her Leo North Node. I see that for her. She's going to go towards her Leo North Node. I see that. But she got to do that shadow work first. But she will break free from this. Somebody's going to leave somebody. Oh, I got it wrong. Somebody's going to leave somebody. Quietly, though. I think that it's going to happen behind the scenes, though. Like, she's going to break free from him, or he's going to break free from her. But somebody going to break free. But they're going to do it quietly. They're going to do it quietly. Yeah, she will eventually release this. She will eventually release this. All right, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. It has been 45 minutes. I did not want to do 45 minutes, but it's been 45 minutes. So I'm going to leave it here. For the people that have stuck around to the end of this, thank you so much. Again, you are a real one. For the 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 people that stuck around for the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Thank you for sticking around this long. Hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments, y'all. Let me know how this resonates. Again, this was my analysis. I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be right. But hey, this is my analysis. All right, you guys. And until next time, love you guys. Have an amazing weekend. Y'all be safe. Stay safe.